Every culture has its share of mythological creatures and monsters. We all know about vampires, the Minotaur, or even the Boogeyman. But not much is known of the creatures from Native American folklore. These Native American legends will creep you out in ways you didn't know were possible. So stick around and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Number 10. Bakwas. Also known as bakwas or bukwis or bukwas, is known as the wild man of the woods. It is a spiritual being associated with the souls of those who have drowned, and it lives around ocean shores at the edge of the forest. A bukwas lures humans into their invisible home. They will share food such as salmon and berries that will prove too good to resist. In truth, the food is cursed, and those who eat it become a bukwas themselves. They're very shy humans in general. Some features of theirs are large eyebrows, round eyes, and a pointed nose. Number 9. Baykok. Described as giant skeletons with translucent skin and black eyes that turn red when they stalk prey, the baykok are believed to have come into existence after a hunter was left to die in the cold after being trapped. In vengeance against his fellow tribesmen who had not helped him from his predicament, he held onto his life force and transformed into the hulking skeleton. The way to detect a baykok's approach is to listen for his taut skin stretching and his bones popping. He prefers to attack at night by putting people to sleep with invisible poisoned arrows. Once the victim is unconscious, the baykok slices open the victim with a knife, cuts out the liver and replaces it with a stone. The baykok gets a free meal while the victim, unable to remember the attack, slowly dies from the lack of their liver. Number 8. The piasa bird. The piasa bird was a mythical creature that allegedly lived in the steep cliffs along the Mississippi River. It is depicted as a flying dragon, as big as cattle, with blood-red eyes and antlers on its head. The body was covered in scales, yet it had a human-like face. It also had a long, thin, snake-like tail. According to legends, the piasa bird feasted on human flesh, but not fresh flesh. Rather, it circled around when Native American warriors battled enemy tribes. When the fighting ended, the piasa bird would swoop down to dine on the bodies of the fallen warriors. Number 7. Kachituasku. The Penobscot Indians of the East Coast told stories of a giant, menacing mythical creature named the Kachituasku, or stiff-legged bear. According to folklore, the monster was huge and roughly bear-shaped, but with a much larger head and thick, unyielding legs. The legends surrounding the stiff-legged bear claim it stalked, killed, and devoured humans. Anthropologists researching the legends of the Penobscot people noted that depictions of the stiff-legged bear look similar to African elephants, which the Native Americans could have never seen. That led to the theory that the Native Americans discovered the skeletal remains of a prehistoric mastodon. Not knowing what the remains were, the Penobscot people developed myths surrounding the creature and its origins. Number 6. The kiwak. Also known as the Kinu, kiwakwa, or kiwakwa, the kiwak was a giant in the Wabanaki tribe's mythology. Angering a kiwak can trigger it to rapidly increase in size until it is taller than the trees. These creatures had gigantic fangs and a taste for human flesh. The only chance of surviving was to hope that the kiwak wasn't hungry. Some legends say that a powerful shaman had the magic to rise from the grave as the creature itself. Other stories tell of someone possessed by an evil spirit or committing a serious crime, such as allowing a tribesman to starve, that caused their heart to turn to ice and them into a kiwak. Some legends claimed it wasn't a transformed human, but a monster by birth. To defeat the kiwak, you would have to dissolve the creature with salt. Number 5. The pukwudgie. Originating from the Wampanoag folklore, though, the pukwudgie was a 2 to 3 feet demon that haunted the woodlands, aka almost like a troll with a giant nose, fingers, and eyes. Rumors of the demon's abilities were quite varied. A few of these included the ability to disappear at will, use magic, poison arrows, create fire, or to transform into a walking porcupine. Number 4. Apotamkin, or the Cold One, the Native American vampire. Legends say apotamkin come with their full range of powers, super strength, and the desire to gain sustenance from human blood. But unlike the modern vampire, apotamkin could also feed off animals and had more of a zombie corpse aesthetic to them, hence the name Cold One. Some versions of the apotamkin describe it as a sea serpent that dwelt along the Passamaquoddy Bay. When people became careless and walked too close to the water's edge, the apotamkin would snatch them and drag them into the water. Some say the apotamkin was a woman who had turned into a serpent with long red hair. Both origins state that the apotamkin was used mainly as a story to warn children of the dangers of acting incautious. Vampire or not, the apotamkin probably made a few children stay safe over the course of its mythical history. Number 3. Adlet. An Inuit-based creature is the adlet, and it's one of the more twisted stories. The adlet themselves are the resultant offspring between a human Inuit woman and a red dog. There are 10 children in total, all of whom were a mixture of human and dog. Some stories claim that the adlet had the lower half of a dog and the upper half of a human. Others say that they had a body of a dog with the intelligence of a human. After the children were born, the family was exiled to an island. Every day, one of the children swam back to the mainland and received boots filled with meat from the woman's father to help feed the family. One day, the father loaded the boots with rocks instead of meat and drowned the dog on his voyage back. The woman was outraged and unleashed her children to the mainland to kill her father and anyone that stood in their way. A simpler version says that the woman didn't travel anywhere. She sent 5 of her offspring overseas to ravage other nations. The other half of her children stayed home, and together they populated the land with deadly adlets, who drank blood of recently killed tribesmen. Number 2. Skinwalkers. The Navajo have myths and stories about a terrifying creature known as a skinwalker. The skinwalker is a mythical entity that has the ability to transform itself into any animal or human that it wants. Many of the legends claim that the skinwalker can only shapeshift if it wears the pelt or hide of the creature it is copying. But there are other stories that claim the skinwalkers can use hair or fingernail clippings from humans to shapeshift into them. Since the Navajo people believed skinwalkers require animal hides to make their transformation, it is considered taboo to keep the pelts of wolves, bears, and cougars in their culture. This prohibits skinwalkers from stealing hides and shapeshifting into these ferocious animals. The only hides that the Navajo people use are the hides of sheep and deer. Traditionally, the intent of skinwalkers seems to be that of harming humans. The Navajo people in the past and in modern times report that skinwalkers will attack people walking alone, will try to break into houses, and will even attack moving cars. These creatures are fast and agile. Their agility and ability to shapeshift makes them impossible to capture. They don't leave behind footprints, so they can't be tracked. According to Navajo stories, the only way to kill a skinwalker is to dip a bullet into a white ash and shoot the creature. And number 1. The Wendigo and the lesser-known wayukay. The Wendigo, a mythical creature of several Algonquin tribes, and the wayukay, a similar legend of the Athabascan tribes of northwest Canada, were both spiritual creatures with a taste for human flesh. The Wendigo and the wayukay may best be compared to today's modern zombies. They are described as being ghostly gaunt, with sunken gray skin, hollow eyes, and a shuffling gait. They reek of death and resemble walking corpses. The wayukay differs slightly from the Wendigo in that, according to Athabascan stories, the creature was formed from glacial ice and brought to life. Its heart is frozen and thus unfeeling. The Wendigo, on the other hand, was once a human that became a beast through cannibalism. When a Wendigo, or wayukay, feeds on one of its victims, that victim becomes another Wendigo or wayukay. The creature's desires for human flesh is supposedly so strong that they are nearly insatiable. They are constantly prowling the forests where they live, looking for hapless human beings to devour. Did these cryptid creatures and ferocious monsters scare you? Comment down in the section below, and let us know which one of these you thought was most terrifying, and see you next time in another video.